Welcome to the Get Going podcast. I'm Ash.
And I'm Ethan, and we're here to help you forget everything you've learned about the fitness industry.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about some tips and tricks for PTs in the industry and how they can better themselves and develop a little bit further after they come out of their course.
When you come out of your
shitty course or good course.
Terrible, yeah.
Whatever it is.
Okay, so what are some things you do to get better at being a you?
Some PD, like we were talking about before, podcasts. I listen to podcasts. So because we're mobile PTs, we spend a lot of time on the road. So if I'm lacking in something, I tend to try and find out if there's a good podcast on it, and I'll listen to that while I'm driving. Or I'll just research it, basically.
I think the worst thing you can do as a PT is come out of the industry and then just stop trying to learn.
No.
Yeah, because you're at the bottom. When you come out of the industry, you're at the bottom of the industry. Like, there's dirt and then you're up below that. So, like, the way to kind of level yourself up is to constantly progress, right? So, podcasts, fantastic. I listen to...
That's just one element and one way to kind of get some information in.
Obviously, like...
Because I'm a mobile PT, it
suits us. Yeah, we can listen to it while we drive.
Yeah.
Not YouTube while we drive, but...
No.
Anyway, but yeah, some other alternatives you can do is obviously put yourself through the process as well. Empathy is a very, very, very powerful tool. Being able to put yourself through your own body transformation.
That's one of the reasons we implemented the 10-week mentorship was to do that so that you can empathize with your clients.
100%. Because, I mean, you do not deserve to, you don't know what fat loss is like until you've gone through it. And like, you know, I've gone through an extreme fat loss transformation myself, and so have you. And that doesn't mean I've come from 150 down to 70 or anything. It just means that I've taken my body fat to extremely low, so I get to feel the highs and lows of that.
Yeah.
And there's some highs and lows that come with it, but the best way to learn that is to go through it, like anything. And then that's the same as with whatever your niche is. If you're focusing on a niche which may be body fat reduction, then you should put yourself through it so you can then empathize and understand.
And the best way to do it is to just gain some practical experience. So if you're not sure about whether you want to be a mobile PT or a PT in a gym or something like that, you just go to the gym, see if you can shadow a session, or same with mobile PT, same thing. Just go out there and put yourself out there and see if you can, gain some experience from people that have been in the industry for a little while. Yeah,
definitely. And that's what I would say is even as a client as well, like if you're someone who's trying to get better at your own health and fitness journey, it goes for the same. Spend time around different type of training. Spend time with people that plan things differently and train differently so that you can learn what suits you better. Because it's the same for PT and client. Like the way you advance your own nutritional and training knowledge is by putting yourself through shit. I know that myself personally, how I've grown is by doing it, and how my knowledge has increased is by trying different things. I've done it all. I've in the sense that I've tried CrossFit, I've done other different elements of exercise, I've done different elements of bodybuilding, done other challenges. And every time I come away from those, I come away with some new experience or something that I can give to my clients. And it may be small too. It may be like, hey, I did a bodybuilding comp, and what I got out of it was understanding how hard it is being in a deficit. So that now when I put a client through something, I might be able to change it and manipulate it to be less strenuous on them, if that makes sense. And I can empathize with them too because I've been there.
I think something that's really common that we see a lot is when we say we're hiring a PT, they may have been in the industry for like 3 to 5 years or something like that. And we'll ask them, how's their nutritional knowledge, or how's their training knowledge on this certain subject? And they'll say, oh, it's not very good, or, I've never learned too much about that. But it's just because they haven't put the effort into actually learning about it. So, which is crazy, right? So they've been in the industry for like 3 to 5 years, and they've never actually put in the effort to learn about it.
We'll hire someone who's...
So how are you going to teach someone about training or nutrition if you haven't actually learnt about it yourself?
100%. And the way you can increase your food knowledge is simply by just filling in your own food diary. Like you would tell your clients to do, fill in your own food diary.
So simple, isn't it?
It is. And like, because a personal trainer, the job is practical, for general population is practical knowledge, right? That's what we work with, practical knowledge, things that we can apply to every day that are going to improve our lifestyles. So filling in your own food diary, seeing that 100 grams of chicken equals X amount of protein is really, really important to know. And then working out, hey, my serving size was too big, and I weigh this much, maybe my client's serving size should be this much and this much. Now, as a PT, you can't even prescribe nutritional programs, but what we can do is obviously advise.
Advice, yeah.
So your advice being bad is obviously not good. So improve your advice, by putting yourself through it.
And again, like putting yourself through this kind of stuff, it's your own experience. So when you go and talk to your client about something, so say they're talking about nutrition or whatever it is, if you go to them and say, I've read this in an article, so I think you should do it, they're going to be less inclined to believe you compared to when you say, I put myself through this for 10 weeks. These are the results that I got from it. I think you should do something similar. They're going to be much more inclined to believe and be motivated by that fact than if you just read it in an article or you searched it on Google or bodybuilding.com.
Yeah, or hey, I read online the other day that you should have less calories or something. Versus, hey, I put myself through this program and what I found when I did that is that I had these emotions, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and so what you're going to be coming into is those two. So don't be annoyed that, if you're feeling flat, don't worry, this will pass. Yep. If you've experienced that, you can pass it on to your clientele, which is really, really powerful. Versus, like what you're saying.
So again, it's just experience everything possible in terms of training, like change up your own training if you're unsure about it. That way you've got more, tools to throw at your clients.
I think if you're a client and if you're listening to this and you're someone who's looking for a PT, I think if you don't know where to start, choose someone that lives and breathes it. Because what are you going to, the facts out of this? The facts is that they are trying to get the best out of themselves, which means that they're constantly trying to progress in themselves, which means they're going to have some knowledge for you. And so that's a really key point there. If you don't know where to start, choose someone who lives and breathes it.
And don't go into it thinking someone has 10 years experience that they're going to be the best PT for you compared to someone that's had 1 or 2 years experience. They might have been in the industry for a long time. Doesn't mean they're good PTs or doesn't mean that they've, experienced the most out of it.
Do you know what's funny is us, we're obviously in the industry and we do hiring and everything like that. It's actually harder for us to hire someone who's been in the industry for 5 years than it is to hire someone who's new to the industry in terms of because someone who's been in the industry for 5 years, they are so ingrained with old knowledge and things that are hard to change. And things like calorie deficits and all these eat less, train more. Those mentalities are so outdated that to trying to get them to unlearn, they're so stubborn, it's so hard. But having someone
had to part ways with people just because of that. Just because of that problem. They're just not willing to learn new ways of, getting a client to change.
And it comes down to, and I think that as a PT, you will not understand food truly until you put yourself through different programs. And when I mean different programs, I mean different goals. So put yourself through a muscle gain program, put yourself through a maintenance program, put yourself through a fat loss program, and then do it all again with different techniques. Do it with a higher carb, lower carb, higher protein, lower protein, higher fats, lower fats. Until you've tried all those methods for yourself, you won't truly understand how to do it for other people. So I think the biggest takeaway from this podcast is that if you're a client, choose someone who lives and breathes it and tries different ways, and you can ask simple questions like...
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Ask them questions. Test them. Say, hey, have you ever done this? What did you find when you did this? And if you're having someone that's saying to you I've actually never done that, or I actually don't know what to do, then you probably won't.
They'll probably lie about it.
They'll definitely lie.
You should be able to tell.
For sure.
If you compare it to someone that's actually done it.
Yeah, and then if you're a trainer listening to this, then I would say for your own personal development, just imagine you know nothing. Just pretend every day you know nothing so that you can constantly progress to learn more. And if you carry around that mentality that you know nothing, then everything is a new experience and everything is a new opportunity to learn.
Well, that's how we treat every day.
100%. Every single day.
Not only with fitness and anything else, everything else.
Health and fitness is a lifestyle that carries on to every other element. It's just the base point. If you can nail your health and fitness, you can nail your work. If you nail your work, you can nail your health and fitness. The family, everything, it's all these pillars are all aligned with a similar structure that you have to have good habits, you have to have education on it, and you have to constantly progress. If you stop talking to your family for a year at a time, they're obviously you're gonna have a worse relationship, right? It's the same with health and fitness, isn't it?
That's true.
If you neglect your exercise for a year at a time, you're obviously going to be in worse shape. So
how do we? Isn't it? It builds habits.
And if your habit is to go out to your parents or your partner's house every week for a dinner, then that's a habit that's going to improve your relationship. So if your habit is to train in the morning every third day, whatever, you know what I mean? These are the habits that you put in place to improve things.
I don't know how we got onto that.
I don't know how we got onto that either. But anyway, summary of the podcast: self-development and progression. Okay, guys.
Education.
So just really focus on your own progression, and you'll become a much, much better PT.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Until next time.